Okay. In the 1920s, women began wearing their hair short, so it was just below their ears. When the flapper era ended, women wore their hair longer through the 30s and 40s. And then again in the 1950s, women once again started to wear their hair just below their ears. Okay. In the 1920s, the first hairdryer was invented. They were very heavy and large, often resembling a vacuum. Then in 1951, the handheld dryer was invented. Next one. In 1928, the famous cartoon Betty Boop was created. During the 1950s, another famous cartoon was created known as the Peanuts. In 1947, the Cold War began due to communism, and then in the 1950s, the Korean War also began as a result of communism. In 1951, the movie The Thing was released, and then remade and released again in 1982. In 1954, Dr. Seuss wrote Horton Hears a Who, which has recently been made into a movie. In 1957, the movie Leave It to Beaver was released and then remade and released again 40 years later in 1997. Hairstyles from the 50s are starting to make their way back into Hollywood. For example, singer Amy Winehouse is often seen with her hair in a beehive. In 1953, The War of the Worlds was released in the theaters, then was remade and released again in 2005. In the 1950s, kids watched shows like Howdy Doody Time, Lassie, and The Mickey Mouse Club. Today, some popular shows among children are SpongeBob, 101, and iCarly. In 1950, the population of the United States was only 151,684,000 compared to today's population of 306,360,091. During the 1950s, the number of unemployed people in America was around 3 million people, and today it has doubled. The life expectancy of women in the 1950s was about 71, and for men it was 65. Today, it's 75 years for men and 80 years for women. The average annual salary in the 1950s was a mere $2,992 as opposed to today's $32,000 average annual income.